Hello, my front-end friend, and welcome back to yet another video. We're going to be amazed by CSS. And when I say amazed, I mean amazed, because we're going to be looking at this, which is by Temani Afif for CSS only.dev here on Blue Sky. We're going to click through onto this post, and I'm not going to read his post. I'm going to open up the CodePen. If you want to check this out, it will be linked in the description. It will only work in Chrome, and yeah. Holy moly. So it's really interesting. I just saw like the post quickly and I wanted to look at how this could actually be done. I don't know. I want to try and figure it out. But you can drag things around, and not only does it calculating the distance between things, but it also is figuring out the shortest distance between them. And it's like highlighting the one that's the shortest, I think, or shortest to short. I'm not sure. Did I break it? Nope. Oh, there we go, to go across. So yeah, okay, now it makes sense. There we go. It's the shortest from like S to E. So what's the shortest way to get there? And it's figuring out all of that. Let's just make there, and then like this would be shorter. Okay, you get the idea. That's shorter. But then if I drag the D out, then this path becomes shorter. We're finding the shortest path through CSS only. One thing I've noticed is my settings have actually been changed. I am logged in, right? Okay, we got slightly bigger font sizes now. I'm in, I got access to CodePen 2.0, which I changed my settings there, and I guess it changed my settings here, I'm not sure. So you will be saying right now that there's people going, oh, Kevin, there's JavaScript in here. The JS is only used for the drag feature. You can remove it. So let's try doing that. Let's select everything and just comment it all out. And so now let's rerun it again. I'm used to CodePen auto updating. We're going to run that without any JavaScript. I can't do anything there. Okay, so we can change the positioning here. So we're going to change the D to try and make this shorter. So D is here. Look at this. We're rounding stuff. Let's just make this 50% and then hit run again. And so the D, and there you go. So all the numbers, there's no JavaScript here. We could even probably come in here. Let's do this via our dev tools instead, right? And that's D. So here, 50. So this one, actually, can I click and change the number? No. There's ways of using your arrow keys to change. Oh, I can. So if I go this way, and look, the numbers are all updating on their own. And it's figuring out everything here is done with CSS only. So this is wild. Okay, so all the circles or the position of our things are being set just with a top and a left. Nothing too fancy there. We're using round, which just rounds numbers off. Not rounding by 1 pixels. It's just preventing, if you're dragging, dropping, it's preventing some like weird subpixel things from happening. Maybe that has to do with how the math is happening too. It might help on that front. I don't actually know. Not too worried about the arrows. They're using custom. Oh, so if you've never seen this before. Oh, okay, wait. Okay, that's just to get the position of them. So I think the JavaScript is probably setting the X and the Y, and then that's getting set on the, arrow. I don't know what the arrow is. Okay, it doesn't matter too much. I think it's each one of these guys. That's the position based on the X and the Y that's getting set. Pretty straightforward. It is using the ATTR. I'm not going to get into that now because it's not really, it's amazing. I love ATTR, the advanced ATTR. Where it's basically, you can get an attribute. So it's getting the X attribute and the Y attribute, and then it can use those values in other places. It's just, we're updating the X and the Y. So nothing too fancy. Setting, again, their positions. Arrow E, which is the last one, probably can't be moved. That's fine. We have some, actually, it must be using anchor positioning here too, right? To make the lines, I'm guessing. We have content is counter D. Okay, so D, counter reset is D. So D would be distance. We have hypot going on here. Okay. So the counters are awesome. And I'm pretty sure that's what's being used for the numbers in between each one. So all of them have a counter of D, which again, I think is for distance. Then we're doing a counter reset. So this is one of my pet peeves with counters, is to create a counter you reset it and give it a name. So a counter, like, it'd be nice if we had counter name, and then like sometimes you want to reset counters. That's completely fine. But to initialize a counter, you have to reset one and give it a name, and then it exists, which is kind of weird. But whatever, it's not that bad. So we're doing D is calc, the hypot, which I don't know enough about math to know, but I'm guessing it's getting the hypotenuse, right? If I'm pretty sure that's in JavaScript too, but now we have it in CSS. So 100 CQH, 100 CQW, height and width. So we're getting divided by 1 pixel. I don't know exactly why. Oh my goodness, we have a tan coming in here too. And a sign. Calc 0.2, oh, that's just the opacity. So this is just showing off here, Temani. Do we really need the opacity to be a sign? Or, wait, maybe there's a reason for that? Why? Okay, that's the opacity of the after, so that would be of the line. I can't, okay, so let's just, before, opacity, no, this is an after. What's the before? 1 second. That's the before. Oh, the before is there. This is on ABCD. Before, arrow. Oh, here's A. A should have a after on it. There's the, yeah, so that line is being drawn. And then we have the opacity here. Oh my goodness. There's a million other lines coming on here. And then it's, what? And then it knows, based on this, it knows which one to show somehow. Okay, wait. We have B as an after. So the B after computed, and this is, I've just realized we're probably behind my head on a few of these things. Let's just come, okay. So the computed opacity is 0 because of that. We're already in over my head here. So when would that one not be? Let's just turn the JavaScript on just because it'd be easier to move stuff around. I want to know when the B after. Oh. So if it's switching now, okay, let's, I'm going to find my arrow. My arrow A, B. Is every arrow have an A, B? It does. Okay, anyway. So if I go to my B and I go to the after, we don't see it currently. But we don't see it currently. Okay. But if I do that, wait. I'm a little bit confused what this after is for and how this is working. Okay, we're going to keep going because I'm probably going to be confused by a lot of this. Maybe some, if you understand, we should probably read his blog post. Let's see what I can figure out from here, and then we'll go from there. I know this is being used to figure out things too. The inset is based on that. We have a conic gradient being used as well, which I don't know why we want a conic gradient over 50. Oh, it's just because it's a shorter way to write the gradient. It's to have a solid color, right? Let's double check. Oh my goodness. Okay. Not the circles. Let's go on an arrow. Let's go on A, because we can actually, A is being used. The A after is being used. Why is the B after here not? And then the C after is over here. There's obviously a reason for these, but what was I looking at again? The background gradient. Background image is a conic gradient. Yeah, let's go to styles. So here's the gradient. If I turn that off, yeah, this is just coloring it. So it's the gray is a solid color. And then what it's, I think if we just did the background, instead of doing it like that, if I just said back, I can't spell background purple. Yeah, we get these big things. So the idea with his crazy background on there with these conic gradients is it just gives us like the thinner bar area instead. There might have been other ways to do this. Right, because let's just do a border here. Border 1 pixel solid red. So you can see this is the size of the element, and then the gradient is making like a bar through it, essentially. I'm trying to think how that's work. Oh, and then the background size and other stuff is what's actually making it work. Yeah, you can do weird things with gradients that don't look like gradients, especially when you start bringing the background size into it. Okay, so we have those that are all showing up. That's fine. We have the rotate inset again. Circle's pretty straightforward. Okay, there's the anchor names. So every one of them is getting an anchor name on it. So that's what allows these pieces to like attach to one another. Right? This must be somehow with the hypotenuse thing like this that's coming in. It's obviously what's figuring out where they are. I just don't understand how. And then lots of registered custom properties. That's interesting. I think part of this is the initial value for all. So SA, SB. Okay, so it's the SA X. So the distance from S to A on the x-axis, and then S. There's probably an SA Y. So they're registering the placement, like where is this for every one of the nodes along the way. There's keyframes, which is interesting. And the keyframes are being used, like here they're registering this, but then the keyframe has the same name, which is interesting. Obviously that works. Okay. Anyway. Oh, and then we have more. We have the arrow gets view timelines are being used on this too. Okay, so the view timeline is probably what is... I think the idea is it's changing the number based on the position, because as you're moving it, it's able to... You're going through the timeline based on... Like the view timeline is something that allows it, it's like a scroll timeline, right? You know where it is within the viewport. So it's using the view timeline on the inline. So the SAX is on the inline axis and the SAY is on the block axis. So we're able to track the position of it through the view timeline along the X and the Y axis for both of them. That I get. I don't know if I'd be able to recreate this, but I understand what they're doing. CSS, I don't know what those are all being used for. More hypotenuse stuff coming. Timeline scopes coming in. So timeline scopes are to limit the scope of a timeline, essentially. The animation is for all of them. This is all on the root. Animation timeline, once again, being used for where, tracking where we are. Animation range, and just the range is from within the space. Linear is important for the timing function, so it doesn't ease as we're getting closer to the ends. I'm not 100% sure, again, what these are being used for, or what the min... Oh, okay, so the min, this is actually important. The min value here is it saying find... Oh, okay, so what we're doing is we're getting the so we have SACE. So SACE, we're getting... It's adding up the S to A to C, and the C to E. So it takes all three of those values and it adds them up together. So we're getting this plus this plus this. Then we're getting the same thing, SAD. So SAD here. So if that gets shorter, so S to A to D to E, we're getting this is essentially saving the distance between each one of them, and it updates as they're moving around. And then the min here is going, we'll just find which one of those is the smallest. And then we know which one is smaller. I'm still a little bit unsure about that hypotenuse that was being used for the opacity of things. We also have a container name that container style sass var equal. Okay, so here we're getting fancy. So we have a style query, not a container, well, it's a container query, but it's a container style query. If the SACE is equal to the minimum, so if this is the minimum, then we're changing the opacity using sign now. I don't know, why don't we just use like opacity 0.5 and 1 here? I'm not entirely sure. But we're switching the opacity to highlight it because this is the shortest path. And then this, if this is the shortest path, so if that's equal to the min, so style queries are cool for two things. First of all, you can check styles, but this is using the range syntax for them. So we can check if a value is greater than, less than, equal to. And so we can see, is this custom property smaller or bigger than this custom property, which is wild, right? That we can do all of this in CSS. This is crazy. Okay, so we're doing that for all of them. Then we're using a if statement here. We're getting if statement where the style. Okay, so here, if I drag this around, you can actually see the shortest path is listed at the top. And you can see it changes as we're going through things. So that's using the style query here. So if this one is the shortest, the content property is getting changed to SACE, SADE, whatever. You get the idea. Then counter reset the distance, it's rounding the min. So it's getting the min value and it's including that counter in the content of the after, which is why the distance here actually updates in real time with CSS only. Which is cool, except I see, oh no, I'm breaking it when I'm out here, but that's because that's the longest distance. It's not counting that. But yeah, that's all the calculations here being done with CSS. And then we just get into some general styling things. So I won't lie, I'm a little bit confused by some of the things, especially I understand the idea of using the hypotenuse, I think, because it's going to give us the shorter value. I'm going to have to wrap my mind around this a little bit more. I wanted to explore it with you. We're hitting the realm with these types of things where we're doing things with CSS that aren't just like making a page look pretty, which is what I'm, you know, my tagline for so long was you can learn how to make the web and how to make it look good while you're at it. I like making layouts. This is where we start getting into like math is scary for me. Math functions are scary for me and all of that, which is why in a way, maybe I stayed away from JavaScript, but all of this is coming to CSS now. Again, all of this will be linked down below. I'd love to know what you think of this. And I can get the gist of it. I don't think I'd be able, no, I know I wouldn't be able to do this on my own without like a lot of time. I'm assuming there was some iterations and a few things that happened along the way here, but yeah, I'd love to know what you think about this. Is this cool? Do you like this type of video where I try and figure out things that are just really crazy? And I'd like to know what you think about if CSS is a programming language or not. So leave comments down below on all of these things. And with that, I'd like to thank my enabler of Awesome Johnny, as well as all my other patrons and channel members for their continued support. And of course, until next time, don't forget to make your corner of the internet just a little bit more awesome.